Turkiye's long-standing president defies the odds to score a slim lead in the presidential vote to take him and his main rival to a runoff later this month. And more on the elections in Turkey, which is almost certainly headed for a runoff. President Recep Tayyip Erdogan and his closest rival, Kemal Kilicdaroglu, both fell short of an absolute majority. Now, Mr. Erdogan has said that he will accept a runoff if that is the will of the people.
Milletimiz tercihini seçimin ikinci tura kalmasından yana yaptıysa onun da başımızın üstünde yeri var. Biz %50'nin üzerinde bir oy oranıyla bu turu bitireceğimize inanıyoruz.
Mr. Kilicdaroglu is also confident of winning the runoff in 2 weeks' time. Voters are choosing between extending Mr. Erdogan's long-time grip on power or moving to a more secular path. The results reflect the deep polarization in the country at a political crossroads. The presidential vote will decide not only who leads Turkey, but also how the next ruling party will deal with runaway inflation and relations with the West and Russia. Trent Murray joins us live now from Istanbul for more on this story. Trent, what does it mean for Turkey to face this election runoff?
Well, Dawn, it's quite an unprecedented moment because for President Erdogan, he's not had to face a runoff before. And so for the first time, really, in 2 decades at least, the people of this country, the 85 million or so that make up Turkey, are staring down the barrel of a real change, possibly, at the presidential palace. But what we should say is that going into that second round, you would probably prefer to be in Mr. Erdogan's camp if you were to believe the polling. He, of course, and the results, I should say, I mean, he's about 2.5 million votes ahead of Kemal Kilicdaroglu. However, the fact that the opposition has managed to secure a second round, I think, has also put the wind in their sails somewhat. It will be an uphill climb, I think it's fair to say, for them. But, of course, 2 weeks is a long time in politics. At stake in all of this, how Turkey recovers from inflationary issues, cost of living, a sharp devaluation of the Turkish lira, but also the recovery efforts from those devastating earthquakes which rocked the south of the country back in February. Internationally, of course, what happens here does have a major impact on the region. We know for that reason, of course, many countries are watching this race very closely, not just in Europe, but the Middle East. The effects of some of those decisions in the presidential palace, whether it be Erdogan or Kilicdaroglu, really could have a wide impact on places like Syria and also in the Black Sea, where Russia and Ukraine are continuing to fight that war.
And Trent, Sinan Ogan finds himself in the position of kingmaker here. Who is he going to support, and will his support make a difference in the second round of voting?
Oh, look, I think it will, Dawn. He's sitting on a pretty large pile of votes from last night, around just over 5% of the vote. He's probably the most popular man in Turkey right now, I would imagine, fielding plenty of phone calls from all sides of politics, a bit of political negotiation 101, I would imagine, for the political scientists amongst us, horse trading, doing deals, being offered roles or jobs or funding for potential projects. But the reality is, on paper, his supporters naturally will probably gravitate more towards Mr. Erdogan. There's been some analysis of the results from last night showing that in former AK Party strongholds, that is the ruling party of the president, places like Konya and Kayseri, that third party candidate ate into Mr. Erdogan's vote. He is a nationalist. He's quite far right. He has quite strong views on issues like immigration. So even if hypothetically he was to throw his weight behind the opposition, whether all of his voters follow that advice or not is a different matter. As I say, we know that right now he's negotiating with both sides before coming out with any sort of formal endorsement ahead of that second runoff vote on May 28th.
All right, Trent, thank you very much for that. Trent Murray there reporting live for us from Istanbul.